History remembers the kings who fought for Jerusalem, but it often forgets the queen who lost it. A woman born into the world's most dangerous inheritance, forced to choose between the survival of a kingdom and the love of a man. This is the untold tragedy of Sibylla, Queen of Jerusalem. The year is 1160. The Crusader Kingdom of Jerusalem is at the height of its power. Born to King Amalric, young Sibylla was raised in a gilded cage. She was a princess of the Outremer, a world where East met West. But a shadow loomed over their family. Her younger brother, Baldwin, was diagnosed with a living death, leprosy. When their father died, the boy king Baldwin IV ascended the throne. As Baldwin's flesh decayed, it became terrifyingly clear to the high court: Sibylla was the key to the kingdom. Whoever married her would rule Jerusalem. She became the most prized political pawn in Christendom. The vultures began to circle. Her first husband was chosen from the west, William Longsword of Montferrat. It was a match of duty, yet for a brief moment it offered hope. Soon, Sibylla was carrying the next heir to the throne. But the Holy Land is unforgiving. Just months into their marriage, William contracted a fever. He died, leaving Sibylla a teenage widow. Out of tragedy came Baldwin V, a son, the future of Jerusalem. Yet an infant could not command armies, and armies were desperately needed. Across the borders, a new star was rising in the Islamic world, Saladin. Her brother, the Leper King, was slowly being consumed by his disease. He commanded Sibylla to marry again. The kingdom's survival depended on it. The nobility offered their choices, but this time, Sibylla would choose for herself. Enter Guy de Lusignan, an exiled knight from France. Handsome, ambitious. He was not a strategic choice. He was a disastrous one. But Sibylla, having lived her whole life for duty, finally succumbed to passion. Her brother, the king, was furious. The barons were outraged. The powerful faction of native barons saw Guy as an incompetent outsider. Defying the court, Sibylla married Guy, a decision that would fracture the kingdom. The realm was now split in two. Saladin watched the Christian division with a patient, calculating eye. In a desperate move to sideline Guy, the dying king crowned Sibylla's young son as co-ruler. Sibylla was torn between the brother she loved and the husband she worshipped. In 1185, the inevitable arrived. The Leper King breathed his last. The crown passed to Sibylla's young son. But the curse of the royal bloodline struck again. Within a year, the boy king was dead. The throne was empty. Civil war threatened to tear Jerusalem apart. The barons tried to force Sibylla to divorce Guy in exchange for the crown. She agreed on one condition: she would choose her next husband. The gates of the Holy Sepulchre were locked. The barons waited outside for her choice. Inside, the patriarch crowned Sibylla as queen in her own right. She took the second crown in her hands and called forth the man she had supposedly divorced. Those whom God has joined, let no man put asunder. She crowned Guy de Lusignan king. It was a masterclass in political deception, but a fatal error for the kingdom. Because Guy was no military genius, and Saladin had crossed the River Jordan. In the blistering summer of 1187, Guy marched the entire Christian army out to face the Muslims. Against the advice of veterans, he marched them into a waterless wasteland, towards the horns of Hattin. It was a massacre. The king was captured. The army was annihilated. Jerusalem was left defenseless. The news reached Sibylla like a death sentence. The city was filled with refugees, women, and children. Saladin's forces surrounded the holy city. The siege began. In her darkest hour, the queen did not flee. She organized the defense. Alongside the knight Baldwin of Ibelin, she held the walls against impossible odds. But courage cannot rebuild crumbling stone. To avoid a bloodbath, a surrender was negotiated. On October 2nd, 1187, Jerusalem fell. Saladin, in an act of legendary mercy, allowed the Christians to ransom themselves and leave. Sibylla looked upon the city of her birth one last time, a queen without a kingdom. Saladin respected her noble bearing, granting her safe passage to the coast. He even released her husband, Guy. Their reunion was born of ashes. But history was not finished with them. Desperate to reclaim their glory, they marched to lay siege to the city of Acre. The camp at Acre was a wretched place, a breeding ground for disease. In the summer of 1190, an epidemic swept through the Crusader ranks. It claimed Sibylla's two young daughters. The queen, who had lost her brother, her son, and her kingdom, now lost her remaining children. Within days, the fever took her as well. Queen Sibylla died in a muddy tent, far from the golden halls of Jerusalem. With her death, Guy's claim to the throne vanished, sparking a new crisis. Sibylla was a woman defined by her loyalties to her dynasty and to the man she loved. Condemned by historians for a fatal romance, she remains the tragic soul of the Crusades, the queen who loved too much and lost everything.